Well, isn't this fitting for a Sunday morning? Shiloh Church here at Shiloh National Military Park, where one of the most horrific and bloodiest battles of the Civil War was fought back on April 6th and 7th, 1862. Shiloh, a biblical phrase meaning place of peace, ironically, but it was here, this battle, that served up nearly 24,000 casualties, dead, wounded, or missing, more casualties than any war in America up till that point. But this, in a single battle, producing nearly 24,000 casualties, it was horrific. This battle, and for every Civil War battle thereafter, the Battle of Shiloh became the benchmark for horror. I was worse scared than I was at Shiloh. This place is so beautiful, so peaceful. I just can't, it's so hard to fathom, to put your arms around, to comprehend that this happened here in this beautiful place in southern Tennessee. The Shiloh battlefield is one of the most beautiful battlefields I've ever been to. Forest area all around, hills, valleys, the beautiful green grasses of early spring coming on. Just a gorgeous place. Following the Battle of Shiloh, the final day, April 7th, 1862, the Confederacy retreated back toward the south to Corinth, Mississippi, and in their hasty retreat, they didn't have time to bury their dead individually, and this was common not only in the Confederacy but in the Union. Without time to bury each soldier individually, they often buried them in mass graves, and there's one here. Confederate mass graves, men dumped in a hole in the ground during the retreat. Point number 17 here at the Shiloh battlefield. By the way, the battlefield here is very well marked. I suppose you could get a guided tour, but you really don't need one. As well as this place is marked, a self-guided tour will definitely suffice. And I like to get off with my own thoughts anyway, especially when I come upon monuments like this. This is where the highest ranking Confederate general at the battle, Albert Sidney Johnston, was fatally wounded. Here marks the spot. He was struck by a mini ball in the back of the knee, and they really couldn't even find the wound. They could see the blood, but they really couldn't see where the mini ball pierced the back of his knee. It struck a major league artery, and he literally bled to death. You'd think you could survive that one, and I'm certain you could, but it didn't happen that way here during the battle. He was carried down into the ravine off here behind me in 15 minutes after the mini ball struck. Albert Sidney Johnston, the highest ranking general on both sides of the Civil War, died here at the Battle of Shiloh. He was then replaced by General P.G.T. Beauregard, who took over the command of the Confederate forces here at Shiloh. This park is so beautiful, coming up on the Tennessee, where the Union forces landed with Ulysses S. Grant. And quite fortunately for him, after he got his butt kicked on the first day, reinforcements landed here along the Tennessee from Don Carlos Buell, who reinforced the Union lines, and as a result, the Confederacy was defeated on the second day. The beautiful Tennessee River. This is gorgeous. In February of 1862, just ahead of the Battle of Shiloh, Ulysses S. Grant won key battles at Fort Henry on the Tennessee River and Fort Donelson on the Cumberland. And, you know, that was a time when Union generals weren't exactly getting it done in the field. President Lincoln was becoming really discouraged. But General Grant provided those victories that the Union so badly needed. It also caused a lot of jealousy in the Union armies with the other Union generals who weren't doing the job they needed to do to prosecute this war. And there was a lot of jealousy and backstabbing, and Lincoln finally blew up and said something to the effect of, well, you know, they were accusing Grant of drinking all the time, which he did like to hit the bottle every now and then. But Lincoln said, find out what kind of whiskey he drinks and what brand of cigars he smokes, and send them to my other Union generals. I can't get rid of Grant. He fights. And that's why he became the overall commander of the Union Army in the end. And I mean, he was such a badass. There was no pomp and circumstance to General Grant. He did not seek the limelight in any way. He didn't like marching bands and parades and all that military music. It meant nothing to him. In terms of music, he was literally tone deaf. He said he knew only 2 tunes. One was Yankee Doodle Dandy, the other wasn't. But this is where, following the battles at Fort Henry and Fort Donelson, he came on gunboats. General Grant with the troops came on gunboats and landed right here at Pittsburgh Landing, where he consolidated his Union troops. They were going after key railroad junctions in Corinth, Mississippi, a major route for the Confederacy, and he wanted to cut it off, but he was surprised by the Confederate troops here. A surprise attack on the morning of the dawn of that morning, April 6th, when Albert Sidney Johnston literally unloaded on Grant, pinned him against the Tennessee River. It didn't look good, but in the nick of time, General Don Carlos Buell landed here with reinforcements for the Union Army, and on the second day of fighting, April 7th, they literally pummeled the Confederacy, who had to then retreat. After Albert Sidney Johnston was killed, the new Confederate commander, PGT Beauregard, after the first day of fighting, he was so confident he had licked Grant in the Union Army, he sent word to Jefferson Davis, the Confederate president, that all was good here. He had won the battle and it was good, but apparently Ulysses S. Grant had something else in mind. In fact, after the first day's fighting, Grant was known to have said, after a Union general was conferring with him, that we got beat bad today, General Grant. He said, that's okay, we'll lick him tomorrow. And indeed he did. The Battle of Shiloh was so horrific. The country had never seen anything like it. One of the bloodiest battles of the Civil War, but it literally stunned the nation with nearly 24,000 casualties, some of whom are buried here on the bluffs above the Tennessee River. I just can't imagine fighting the Civil War, sometimes hand to hand, the way they did. After the first day of fighting that raged on for like 13 hours on April 6th, a big, heavy thunderstorm set in that night with tremendous lightning flashes that literally lit up and illuminated the dead laying on the battlefield. Those are the memories those soldiers took away, and of course some didn't get to leave. You know, when the Confederacy and the Union met here at Shiloh, each side thought they were going to end the war that day, those days. Yet the Civil War raged on for another 3 years. A little over a year following the Battle of Shiloh, Abraham Lincoln gave his famous address in Gettysburg, November 19th, 1863. I think the most famous, most profound words ever uttered by a U.S. president there that day, in dedication of the new National Cemetery in Gettysburg. 272 words, and Lincoln was so brilliant at saying so much with so few words. And of course, Lincoln labored over his own speeches. He wrote his own speeches. Unlike today's presidents, who have the very best speech writers and PR people on planet Earth, all they do is read from a television monitor. They're literally reading from a script. Big deal. Lincoln wrote his own speeches and labored over his words. And when he delivered the address that day, I've never heard words more meaningful in my life ever come out of a U.S. president's mouth. Unbelievable. "Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on the great battlefield of that war. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth." For the Mystery Man, I'm Don Ray DeBall. I'll see you next time. Hey, if you ever do come to the Shiloh Military Park, you have to eat here at the Catfish Hotel, just a couple miles from the battlefield. It's so good. You'll love it. You'll love it. Right on the banks of the Tennessee River. So cool. Check this out. Hagy's Catfish Hotel. I hear from my good friend Brian Granger that this is the place to eat when you're visiting the Shiloh battlefield. Isn't it cool?
Okay.
You're out there on that one, man.
Where are you from, sir?
Right over here at Adamsville.
Yeah? Did you grow up here in this area?
I grew up in Corinth, Mississippi.
Oh, Corinth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, that's all a big part of the Civil War.
Yeah,
The Civil War,
right.
the ongoing Civil War. Yeah.
I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I told him, I said, I ain't never seen nothing like it. I just gonna ask her what it is. You have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Thanks for
your
talking to me. Oh, there we go. Nice, nice. Looking
Hey,
good.
you
Hey,
very
how do you like working at the Catfish Hotel?
I love it.
You
I've
do
been
love
here
it?
Forever.
Have you really? What's forever? Because that's a long
24
time.
years.
That's a long time, forever, you know.
Well, yeah.
24 years? Yeah. Are you from this area?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Savannah.
Savannah. It's a beautiful area.
It is.
And the people are so nice.
Yeah.
There must be something to the Southern hospitality thing, because I've had like 3 people stop and chat with me on their way out here. Like, wanted to know why I was tucked back in the corner, if I was bad or something, you know. But people are friendly. It's great. I love it. It's beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Have you
good?
been to the battlefield?
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to
You
walk
better
there.
say yes. Okay.
I have. I used to walk there all the
Okay.
time.
Awesome.
All right.
See you. Thanks. Hello. Good. They said they enjoyed my company so much that it's free for me. Well, you're not buying it, are you? That's why I'm buying it.
On you today.
It's on me? How nice of me. How do you like working at the Catfish Hotel?
Well, I've been here long enough. I guess I like it.
Yeah, but how long you been here?
Probably about 20 years.
Wow, that is a long.
Do it anyway.
That is a long
It
run.
ain't been 20 years knocking its door.
Gotcha. Gotcha. In fact, if you get really lucky when you're here, if you get to see a big old push tug pushing the mighty load down the mighty Tennessee. That's a beautiful tug, by the way. That resonates with me, being a Great Lakes tug captain, a merchant marine for many years in another life. But I did that, and I did it on the Great Lakes. But this really got my attention. That is so cool. That thing is pushing 15 barges loaded. I mean, can you imagine? Whoa. That is sweet. I love it.